Hey, it's Jamie Moore here. You're very welcome to the latest episode of the Off the Ball League of Ireland podcast. Coming up over the next hour or so, we're going to be joined by Kieran Sadlier of Doncaster Rovers, formerly of Cork City and Sligo Rovers, on the afternoon that his former manager John Caulfield left his role as the Cork City manager. We'll also go down to Cork and speak to one of the journalists down there, John O'Sullivan, to look back on John Caulfield's time at Cork City. We'll be joined then in studio for our First Division focus by Bray Wanderers midfielder winger Mr. Dylan McGlade, and he'll tell us as well about some stick he got and his mum and his sister got from the Shelbourne fans recently, as well as his hat-trick in their second last game against Drogheda. And then it's all about the Under-17 European Championships kicking off in Dublin this coming Friday, with Ireland taking on Greece at Tallaght Stadium. We're going to chat to the Ireland captain Seamus Keogh, formerly of Sligo Rovers. He's now playing for Southampton in the UK. We'll start though with the breaking news and huge news that John Caulfield has left Cork City, having joined the club in 2014. We'll just bring you some of the statement. Cork City FC wish to confirm that John Caulfield will step down from his position as first team manager with immediate effect. The club and John came to a mutual agreement today at Bishopstown Stadium. John Caulfield first took charge of Cork in the 2014 season, steering the club to second place in the league and back to European competition for the first time since 2009. He went on to two further second place finishes, winning the FAI Cup in 2016 and then winning a league and cup double in 2017. The club also held a Munster Senior Cup since 2016 and won three successive President's Cups in 16, 17 and 18. Speaking today, John Caulfield said, "I feel the time is right to part ways with the club. I'd like to thank the players and the backroom team for the huge success brought to the club since 2014. I wish everyone the best for the rest of 2019 and look forward to attending games as a supporter in the stands." The club went on to confirm that they will appoint an interim manager for the foreseeable future. We expect that to be one of the former players and the current underage director, Colin Healy. We expect him to be in charge at least for the game against Bohemians this weekend, and the club will then begin a thorough recruitment process for a new first team manager. A further statement will follow in the coming days. So we're going to hear from John Caulfield himself in a moment at the press conference yesterday, when there was no sign of this news coming, and we'll also go to Cork to speak to John O'Sullivan. But firstly, Kieran Sadlier joins us on Skype. Kieran, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Great stuff, Kieran. Thanks for having a chat with us. I suppose, what's your overall reaction to the news that your former manager has left Cork City?
Obviously, it's sad that he's obviously left. Obviously, I know that they haven't been on a great run recently in the season, but I think he's got to be remembered for all the good things he's done for the club. And I think I was looking at his record earlier, which he hasn't been outside of second place since since he's been there. I think so, but it's sad, but not entirely surprised the way that things were going. But
Yeah, obviously you left at the end of last season and signed for Doncaster, but I know you keep in touch with a number of the players, and I'm sure you've been trying to keep an eye on results as well. Things this season just haven't gone well, and I know you probably haven't seen many games, but I suppose, as you said, it's not a massive surprise given that they're 8th in the league, just a point above 9th place.
Yeah, obviously. I try to keep up with. I try to watch the games and stuff. It's hard to get to watch them over here, but obviously I've seen that they haven't been doing well results-wise, and I still speak to quite a few of the players and stuff. And it's not, obviously, it's unusual seeing Cork down at the bottom of the table, but after being at the top for so long. But to be fair, it's very hard to sustain being at the top for so long. And when you got, I think 12 players left last season, including myself, it's hard to kind of recruit players that are going to be the same as those players, because those players gave a lot to the club, and some very good players as well. So it's hard, but I think they can come back and they can get back up the table. It only takes a few wins it takes a few wins and you can try and start climbing again.
Yeah, 14 games played for Cork, just 3 wins in that time, 4 draws and 7 defeats as well, just 13 points from 14 games. And if you look, as Kieran mentioned, where Cork have been anywhere first or second for the last 5 years since John has been at the club, a massive change in form, and the crowds have dropped off, and I'm sure the players as well have to take a lot of responsibility for this, Kieran, as well, because it's the players who are playing on the pitch, and you did mention that a lot of players have left, but the squad that's there should be certainly doing better than 8th at the moment.
Yeah, to be fair, I know a lot of players have left and stuff, but there's new players that have come in, and I don't know how many games has there been so far this season. 14. It's still, I know it's a few games now, but it's early days. It's players that are coming in. It's a new place for them and a new club, and it takes a while for them to maybe settle down. And there's some good players in that team. There's players that were there last season that are very good players and that can pull through. And I think maybe just needs someone to just step up and just lead and get the confidence back. Obviously, with John going now, someone new is going to come in, and I think they've just got to kind of up the team spirit and make it start playing with a bit of freedom maybe, and you might see difference in results.
Yeah, you signed for Cork in the summer break of 2017 in July, having been with Sligo Rovers before that, Kieran. And that season, of course, ended with the league and the cup. And we're looking at a photo of you here celebrating in that cup final against Dundalk. You scored the winning penalty in that shootout as well. The following season, you know, I suppose just overall, you know, your time there was probably the most successful time that John had. What do you remember about that particular season when you joined the club and things went really, really well from there?
Yeah, when I joined, obviously, I joined from Sligo, who were struggling at the bottom, and then I joined a team that were 18 points clear in the league at the time. So it was gone from one end to the other completely, and it was just although I think we didn't struggle, but we stumbled a bit towards the end to get the League One. But then we had an amazing cup run, obviously, and got to the final and won that. But no, it was just, we were going in every day. It was just a good place to be around. And when a training ground is like that, it makes a massive difference to players who they're on the up and they're confident and they just want the next game to come because they feel like they're going out to games and they're going to win. And it's just maybe about how many they're going to score. And yeah, I think that's a massive difference to a player. And I think they just need to get that back. There's good players in that team who have won stuff before and have felt that, so you just need that back, and I think that'll make a big difference, and then you kind of build from there.
Yeah, I know, Kieran, over your career you've played under lots of managers. What was John Caulfield like as a manager when you were at Cork City?
Obviously, I know a lot of people have different opinions on John, but to be fair, he got the best out of me when I was there. For the 18 months I was there, I've never scored so many goals in one season and made such an impact on games. I know it's different style of play. Maybe it's not the passing game that everybody wants to see, but at the end of the day, it got results when we were there, and he had a team full of players that wanted to work and wanted to do it for each other. And I think that's what he brought to us. He was very committed, and we worked very hard as a team, and the intensity was very high. And yeah, it was enjoyable, to be fair, because we were winning games. And at the end of the day, when you're playing in the league in the first team, sometimes it's not always about how you play, it's about the result. And we were winning, so it was a good place to be.
Yeah, and I'm interested that you said that, because last week on the podcast I spoke to Paul Curry, who is former Shamrock Rovers UCD and Sheffield Wednesday player, and we were speaking exactly about that and the style of play. And when the style of play is winning, the fans don't really care if the team is playing, you know, a quite direct style. But if they're not winning and they're still playing a direct style, that's when it becomes a problem. And like for a player like you, who you know is a very talented footballer and wants the ball on the ground, you know, you were playing in a team that was winning, but that maybe was kicking the ball over your head quite a bit. And now, since results have dropped off, that's become more of a problem.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be the problem. When you don't play a good style of football on the floor and you don't get the results as well, then you're going to get a lot of people moaning and groaning. But I don't know. I prefer the ball on the floor. I love to play football on the floor, and I try to do it as much as possible. And over here now, I'm doing it every game. But it's not a bad thing to be able to perform in a team that don't play that style of football and that do go longer at times. Like we went long at times, but we did play at times. I think there was games last season where we completely dominated games. It was on the floor, and I think one of them was on TV against Longford, and a few other games as well, obviously, albeit they were in the division below. But no, it's something to add to your armoury, that you're able to perform in a team that play a different style of football. And I think you can, as a footballer, you take that forward and you try kind of like add that to your game, and you can then look back and you say, I can adapt to any kind of football.
Yeah, and I suppose as well for you, I mean, there were debates over the time when you were at Cork City, particularly some of the European games and other games that you weren't picked to start, which I found strange because I thought you were Cork's best player. You know, in that period when, you know, you think you're a very, very good football player, but you're not being picked for those big games, was that a strange one for you? You know, I suppose given in Europe, you'd want your team to try and keep the ball a bit more?
Yeah, it was strange, and I wasn't happy at the time with not playing. I don't think any footballer's happy with when they're sitting on the bench, but you just act professional, and just when you do come on, you make an impact, and that's what, when I came on in Europe, I did that when we played not Legia, the other Rosenborg, in both those games, and I eventually did get my start in Europe over in Rosenborg. But it is sometimes you have dips in seasons where when it isn't the style of football you're used to playing, you're gonna come up against, you're gonna have tests where you're gonna have dips in form, and to be fair, I look back now and I think I played the most minutes out of everybody in the whole season, which is weird because a lot of people talk about me being dropped quite a lot, but well, not a lot, but in that little kind of middle spell, and I actually played the most minutes out of everybody. But I've learned things from that. I think you can't play every single game, every single season. So, I was happy with the way the season went, but frustrated at the same time. But there's ups and downs in every footballer's career.
Well, that's a stat that I didn't expect to hear, that you played more minutes than anyone else, when I would have been one of the people who was saying you didn't play enough. So that's mad.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one.
Because I played every single minute of the cup runs and every other game, and I think I was at least in the top 2 or 3 anyway, of being the most minutes. I definitely know that for sure. Nice,
okay. And just our last two on Cork, Kieran, before we talk a lot about your time in the UK as well. Like, you played in some amazing nights in Turner's Cross in front of 6,000-7,000 fans. You mentioned the European games, clashes against Dundalk, against Shamrock Rovers, against others. Like, when John Caulfield took the job in 2014, I'm just looking here at some of the games in 2013, and like the attendances were still good in terms of like having maybe over 2,000 people at most games, but you know, the average attendance probably during John's tenure when the club was doing well could have been like 4,000 or 5,000, and you know, that's something that has to be, you know, spoken about as well, that he took the club from a place where they weren't competing to competing, and also more people going to watch the club, more sponsors involved, and really changed the fortunes of the club overall.
Yeah, he's not just on the pitch, but he's off the pitch, where he's built Cork, and they've gone up. I think obviously the fans would be a big one. I think everybody last season and the season before especially would talk about how Turner's Cross was a great place to go and play because there were so many fans. I think the shed was full every single game, and especially on European nights and nights against Dundalk and Rovers and Waterford as well. The stadium was near enough full. I think when I first came, my first game I couldn't play was against Tallinn, I think, in Europe. I was sitting in the stands, and to be fair, I was surprised that, although I'd been in Ireland 18 months already, I was surprised at how full the stadium was, and how much of a good atmosphere it was just sitting there watching the game, and it was great times, and I hope that they can get back to that soon.
Yeah, and just I suppose when you were at Cork City, I don't think you would have played with Colin Healy because I think he just retired at that stage, but he was around the club. He's now working, you know, as part of their youth development team there, and I know he's someone you know, and we understand he might be the one in charge at least for this game on Friday. We understand the assistant manager John Cotter is going to stay as well, so there are two people who have a safe pair of hands to keep the team ticking over until they appoint a permanent manager. Yeah,
Colin's been around for ages. Like he was there near enough every day when I was there training. He'd join in training sometimes. He's still, well, a lot of players still feel like he's fit enough he could play. But I think he'll be in safe hands if him and Cots are going to take over, and Liam Kearney as well. I think is probably stay, and it's in good hands. And they're three people that, well, especially Colin, and that want to play good football on the floor, and hopefully that might make the people a bit happy about the style of play. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and already loads of rumours on Twitter about who the next manager might be. I think Neil Fenn, the Longford manager, could be one who will be interested in the job. And also, I saw something there just a few minutes ago before we contacted you or Skyped you, Kieran, about Colin O'Brien, the Ireland under-17 manager, who was from Cork, possibly getting that job too. So we'll watch that with interest over the next few weeks as well. You're on the Off the Ball League of Ireland podcast. It's Jamie Moore here, as you can see, and here we're speaking to Kieran Sadlier, who's now playing for Doncaster Rovers over in the UK in League One. And Kieran, just looking here at the League One table, Doncaster 6th currently. You have played 45 games on 70 points, and the last weekend of the season is this weekend before the playoffs, so you're a point ahead of Peterborough. You can't be caught by anybody else. Charlton above you, Sunderland above you, and Portsmouth above you. They're all guaranteed to be in the playoffs too. Your last game of the season is against Coventry this weekend, so it's a big weekend for you boys over there.
Yeah, we need to win to guarantee. We want to go out and win anyway. Against Coventry, we could have secured it last night if Portsmouth got a draw or a win against Peterborough, but that didn't happen. So we've got to go out and win on Saturday, and we're confident. We're hoping that we can do that to secure the playoffs.
Yeah, how would you reflect on the season overall, Kieran? You know, given the fact that you've started some games, you've been on the bench for other games, and you've been involved in the majority of them. But I suppose as well, again, making the jump back to England, having had a few spells over there with a few different clubs, and then coming back here to Sligo and Cork and making the jump back over again.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Like, I've loved every single minute of it. I've come over and I'm learning. I'm working with a manager that I know very well from my time when he was the assistant at Peterborough, and now I'm playing and I'm in the team, and I'm in and out. I think I've had about 6 or 7 starts overall, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. We play a good style of football, and we've got great players in the team that are doing very well, and it's a lovely stadium, and I'm living with a few of the lads over there, and it's great. It's something that I feel like I'm building on really well, and it would be lovely to finish it off in Wembley, but we'll see.
Yes, you mentioned you're living with a few of the lads there, Kieran, and for those who are listening to this podcast, if you're watching, you can see behind on Kieran's wall in his apartment there are some signed and framed Real Madrid jerseys. Now, I am a Real Madrid over Barcelona man, and I'm a Ronaldo man over Messi man, so give us the story behind the jerseys, because some famous men have scrawled their signatures on them.
Yeah, there's David Beckham, Zidane and Owen. I think there's Gerrard over there as well, but from England one. But they're just signed shirts from, I think they're my dad's, to be fair. This is his office, so from back in the day. But I'm a Messi man, not a Ronaldo man. But they're in this office here.
Well, you can thank your dad for the excellent standard of Wi-Fi, because the call is very clear. All our Skypes aren't like that, Kieran. So you can say to Mr. Sadlier, thanks for the good Wi-Fi for having the chat. I suppose you're back in England now, and you've had experience here, and you've played in a couple of other places, including Scotland as well. League One in comparison to League of Ireland Premier Division, how would you compare both?
To be fair, when I was playing in Ireland, watching games, I didn't see much of a difference in the step up. But having come over, to be fair, it is a step up technically in players. There's players in this league, in League One, that should or could have been or have played in a much higher level. For example, going away to Sunderland and playing against players like McGeady and Oviedo and players like that who've played in the Premier League for the majority of their careers or abroad. I'd say stepping up, the intensity is probably, you've got to be fitter. There's less mistakes. So technically it suits me quite a lot, actually, the way we play, especially where I'm able to get on the ball and kind of have a kind of a free roll and do what I want. But it's a very tough league as well. Obviously, you can see how tight it is going into the last day of the season, Saturday, and obviously if you look down the bottom, it's very tight down there as well, and it's 46 games as well instead of 36, and it's tough, but it's brilliant to be involved in, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm sure as well everybody having a moan in the League of Ireland at the moment about the number of games. You can tell them to relax themselves because you're doing the same. You're playing, probably including cups and whatever else, like 55, 60 games a year as well, which is something I'm sure you've had to get used to. Also, Kieran, you've lived in Cork, you've lived in Sligo, you're now, living back over there. You played for West Ham, St Mirren, Peterborough, along Halifax as well. You've had to kind of live in a few different places across your time in football, and you're still only 24. How have you found that? And are you hopeful now to be able to kind of settle somewhere football-wise, but also life-wise, over the next coming months and years, I suppose?
Yeah, to be fair, I've been on the move since I was 16, I think. I moved down to London when I was 16. I live in Cambridge here, family. So London's about an hour and a half. But, I've lived everywhere. Scotland, Ireland. It's fun, to be fair. It's nice getting to know different places, and you get to travel a lot. And I don't know, it'd be nice to say I'd like to settle somewhere, but it's very hard in football when you don't know where you're going to be. Even if you do sign a long contract, sometimes it doesn't work out and you end up, or sometimes it works out even better and you get another move, and it's hard to say. So I don't know. I'd like to settle in England for a while, but we'll see what happens. If that's the way football is, I think.
And also, I'm sure you're very much looking forward to your summer holidays as well, because you would have started League of Ireland pre-season with Cork in January 2017, played a half League of Ireland season, moved to the UK in July 2017, when that season was basically starting, and you've played a full year now. We're now on the 1st of May, so you've nearly done 18 months straight.
Yeah, I am nearly on 18 months straight, and I think it's over 70-odd games. So it's been a long season. I think when I first joined Doncaster, I found it tough in fitness-wise because I had 2 weeks off, two or 3 weeks off, and I wasn't off, I was doing work. But to then step up to the intensity another level, injuries start to creep in a bit, like muscle injuries, and I had to deal with those. So I was in and out of the team or in and out of the squads for match days, and it was difficult. But now I feel fit now, and it's a shame it's coming to an end now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to my holiday, and after the playoffs, hopefully. I'd rather it go that way. So it'd be nice to get a break for 5-6 weeks, and then pre-season start, and then I can really push on for next season and see what happens then.
Where are you off on your holidays?
I'm going to America with a friend for 3 weeks. We're doing a little tour. Very
nice. I'm going to be in New York and Vancouver myself in the middle of June, so maybe you might be there.
New York's one of them, yeah. We're ending it there.
Have you been there before?
Never. I've been to Washington, DC, that's it.
Okay, you need to go and see Ground Zero in New York. It's the most amazing thing you will ever see in your life, so that's something I would definitely recommend. And also cycle through Central Park, even though you want to have a rest, it'd be nice on the legs.
Yeah, I won't be going there at night time though. I'll be going there in the day.
Lastly, Kieran, you're 24, you're doing well in the UK course as well, and we've seen, over the years with the Ireland squads, different, lads who've been in the League of Ireland and back in England named in squads. Look at Sean Maguire, for example, now in the Ireland squad and, playing games. That's definitely an ambition of yours, having played underage football for Ireland too. Yeah,
obviously there was a little bit of talk last year about the Ireland first team. But that didn't arise. But now I'm back in England, and you see players going and meeting up with the squad from obviously, I think the Luton lad James Collins was the latest from League One to go up, and it's something that is definitely a target of mine in the next. I'd say in next year, but I don't like to kind of put time frames on things like that. But it's definitely a target of mine to push and get an international call up.
Would Mick McCarthy have seen much of you when you were playing as a youngster, either in the UK? I know he wouldn't see much of you here, of course.
I wouldn't say when I was young. I know he knows about me now back in Doncaster, but I wouldn't say he's seen much of me play, no. Yeah,
and of course, the FAI senior team have a number of different people out watching games in different leagues at different levels in different places. Are you aware, if someone is coming to watch you, that there is someone there? Obviously, if it's Mick himself, you might see him or you might see a photo of him, but if it, Robbie Keane or Terry Connor the same, but they have other scouts that just head to games. Are you ever aware that someone is coming to watch you?
I was aware last year when I was at Cork that Roy Keane and Martin O'Neill were coming to watch me then, but Nah, not really. Unless someone tips you off, maybe the manager lets you know, you wouldn't really be aware. You just got to go out to every game and perform like it's like it's your every game, like you do every game. So.
Great stuff. Listen, Kieran Sadlier, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on just a few hours after John Caulfield left his role in Cork. Best of luck on the weekend against Coventry, hopefully in the playoffs, and we'll see you over the summer. Thanks a million.
Cheers.